I caught my fiancée cheating on me at her nephew's birthday party, so I gave her a birthday surprise of her own and financially cut off her entire family, forcing them to move back to their trashy house, take their kid out of private school, and stop paying for their grandma's pills. I come here for advice because everyone on my family and friends circle thinks I'm overreacting and need to forgive and the usual BS, so I want to know if you guys think the same. I, Paul, 33M, met my fiancée Andrea, 32F, in high school. We were 15 at the time, and since then, we have both stayed together. We had our rough patches when I went to study in a nearby city, but used to visit her most of the time. When I finally got my studies done and was able to work in the town we both live in, things got better. To this I have to add Andrea comes from a really poor family. We talking 8 siblings, a house made out of wood and a zinc roof, gotta bless South America standards. So knowing this, I was mostly the provider of our relationship. It didn't bother me. I love to take her out to eat ice cream and see her smile. Same when I take her to car rides on my father car. As time progressed, the things I could afford got better. Since I study in IT and landed a high-paying job working on the town bank, I was almost set for life, I could say. To this that I got myself a nice place to live that I rent from an old man that my parents knew. We are talking one of those ranch houses with plenty of rooms to spare and 2 floors all, so she could live on a bigger house like she used to say. Then one day she asked me if her parents and 2 of her sisters, 12F and 14F, could come live with us, that their living conditions are really bad, and I knew that, so I said yes. We had rooms to spare and we weren't expecting a child, so why not? I thought I know them, and even humble as they are, they're good people. Fast towards then, and I helped pay for a private school for her 2 sisters plus some medical treatment her mother has going through. I must say the rest of their brothers try to pinch some money but mostly have day-to-day jobs, and you know how the economy is a hellhole down here, so it never bothered me helping them since I could. Now comes the famous D-Day. We got invited to a birthday of one of her nephews and told her she should go first, then after I'm out, I'll go. I arrived 2 hours later, then I ask one of her nephews where is she, then he points me at the restroom place the park has, so I walk there. I turn the corner to see my fiancée hugging and kissing one of her family friends. She sees me. We both lock eyes. Of course she panics, tell me this is not what it looks like, right? I bolt towards my car. Funny scene that me running out of the situation make the other kids follow me thinking I'm playing a game. Still, her family pick up fast something was happening as she start banging on my glass windows and screaming as I turn the car on and then drive off. I have no idea what happened after that, just know I felt like garbage and went to my parents' place and hide on one of their empty rooms. After a week I had to face her of course and return home to see a whole congregation, basically all her family was there. Imagine 2 parents, 8 fudging siblings with kids included, and her all came together to try to see if I could forgive, if I could see past her betrayal. We kinda fight a little, but of course I was overwhelmed. Then I asked the question if the cheating was going for long. She didn't answer, so I just walk away to a bunch of people screaming at me to come back. Don't be a coward, try to see beyond this, you get the idea. Then 3 days later I asked her to talk alone, told a couple of mutual friends to help us, and we set a meeting. Then as I first explained to them, then told them who he was and all, to which I learned from one of them that the guy she was with was an ex. From what period I really don't know and I don't wish to know. So you get the idea. That the moment I learned about that information I dropped the meeting, sent her a message saying is cancelled and that I would go pack my stuff. And so I did. 2 weeks later, after the whole fight, I was moving out the place back to my parents. We fought a lot and had to face each and every one of them trying to convince me to forgive their sister. Mistake, but I end up blocking them and putting my foot down, telling them is not their business. Then her friends pile up, even some of my friends too, saying is just a mistake and blah blah. Then what hurt the most was both my parents saying that seeing me like that wasn't right and perhaps I should forgive and fix our relationship, and yup, in this whole parade of people nobody give a dang how I was doing, only our relationship, to which I end up cutting ties with most of them besides some of my best friends and my parents on a low contact deal as I moved to a 1-by-1 bad block apartment I could rent fast. Now 2 months after the whole ordeal I paid the last month, then cut ties with all payments. The house I was renting gone, the private school gone, her mother medical treatment and pills gone. Also, and I must say, try to hold that much while being 2 teenagers, 2 retired folk and a housewife who barely finished nurse school, you get the idea. When the bills came to her she lost it all and came running to my parents, to which she didn't find me, so she went to my work and came to talk. When I went out she groveled and cried that she didn't want this of us and to give her another chance if it's not for her mother. I said that I had no attachment more to her or her family and drive off. Now she has talked with most of the people on my circle again, and of course they say I shouldn't be this cruel, that I have the money to spare. Even again my parents, why let them suffer after all this time? That I should have a little more compassion for them, to which I think who is compassion for me? So Reddit, am I the jerk here for cutting the payments and possibly killing grandma because I stopped paying, or care that they go back to their terrible house because they can't pay the other one? Commenter 1. Nothing is stopping the people who say you should pay for everything from paying for everything. Commenter 2. NTA. When people say this isn't what it looks like, a majority of the time it is exactly what it looks like. It's not your responsibility to support the whole family or be concerned about what's going to happen to them. Cut ties. And move on with your life. It seems that you'll be better off without the weight of the family dragging you down financially. Commenter 3. Her and her family are using you as a cash cow, so she got caught and now she is sorry. You are not in the wrong. Cutting ties and funds is the appropriate thing to do. How long was cheating? You don't even know, she wouldn't answer, so for quite some time, a year maybe 2, Maybe since you were in school hoping to make your lives better. This is no longer your problem. Your friends need to respect your decision and respect you more than trying to make you someone's open wallet. Update. Well, I never thought I would be back writing an update, but after a couple of private messages asking for it and a couple of life-changing revelations and some major bad news, I think I'm ready to write this. So, before I begin the update, I'll add some information I learned around a month and a half ago about my ex. Basically, a friend of hers saw my frail appearance while I was working. I lost around 15 kilograms from this whole drama and harassment, so she felt guilty about hiding so many secrets of my ex and wrote to me on Instagram telling me to meet up. We met up in one of the plazas, and she told me that she was getting married soon. She felt guilty about what she hid about my ex. For starters, she explained when it all started. Like many guessed from the previous post, it was around the time I was doing the 4th year at university to my graduation. Since it was a heavy time for me, personally, I didn't come back home as much, so we kept it long distance for a time and the stress made me not focus on other things, like social or interactions and such. During this period, she was studying to become a nurse, but then she stopped studying. Her reasons? She didn't have the money for it, or so she told me. The actual reason was that she got pregnant by the guy and had an abortion. Her friend was there at the moment and told me that after that, she started to hate the hospital, so she dropped out of college. Yet, she kept seeing this guy until I came back after I graduated. She then told me that he's a trucker, hence, their escapades were few but still enough. In the years that I was with my ex, the reason you guys guessed it, it was that he was better than me in bed. It wasn't love or attention, just smashing. But later, during our time together, while also trying for a kid ourselves, she got pregnant a second time and she didn't know who was the father. Not wanting to risk the life she had at the time, she called that same friend to accompany her to the hospital and had a second abortion. For me, it was just something to do with her bladder, for what I can remember. Her friend kind of told me some more important revelations, but I was so shocked I couldn't listen anymore. Like, more times they met or what excuses she used. That same day, I went home and cried myself to sleep. Of course, now you can ask what she was doing after we broke up. Well, she went to live with him and since he goes out most of the time due to his job, she stays at the place he's renting. Almost every time he went out, she came to my home calling for me, asking for forgiveness, saying how bad she felt. At the time, I kind of felt like I was overreacting. But after learning such things about her past, I was seething for the next time she showed up. So, the same week I learned of her cruel past, she came to visit me. Before I knew it, I was lashing out against her, screaming and insulting her. It was loud enough that my throat hurt me for 3 days and I decided that it was enough so I went to the police. But when I wanted to press charges for a restraining order against her, the policeman at the time laughed at me, like I was saying a joke, and told me to man up. After that fight, I spoke seriously to my parents since our relationship was kinda rocky from them supporting my ex but now they fully support me and kind of stopped that boomerish way of thinking. But I never saw my ex again after that time. After I knew, a whole month went by in silence while I tried to fix the bits and pieces of my life, thanks to friends and coworkers trying to cheer the gloomy guy. Now I can start the actual update, and before that, I must add a trigger warning for those that have problems with abuse or death in general. Now, around 5 days ago, while working, I received a couple of calls from my mother, which I cut, then messaged her on my break. She then told me to check the Facebook link she sent me, and it was a video of the news of the town saying about an assault and red room between a man and a woman, the woman, of course, being my ex, and the man, you guessed it, her affair partner. After I closed the video, I unblocked and called her parents to find out if that was true. They couldn't answer me through their crying, but when I came out of work her older brother was waiting for me to tell me the news and that he would love if I could go to her funeral, at least to forgive her. I obliged but my feelings were completely empty for her. I arrived with my parents, and her whole family came to greet me, some telling me how much they missed me. Then, when I got in, I kind of felt like I wanted to see her one last time, perhaps shed a tear one last time, but they had to mourn her with the casket closed due to the damage done to her face, so the last time I saw her was her shocked crying face as I shouted her. I said my piece at the time, and later she was buried. After her burial, the brother, who was the friend of the cheating guy, came to talk to me. First, he apologized because he also knew most of the cheating that was going around but decided to keep it quiet because of her parents' and sister's new comfortable life. Then he explained to me that while she was living with him, it wasn't all roses. He cheated on her during his travels and boasted about it to his friends, and verbally abused her, and physically once, but cut it after the older brother threatened him. He told me a neighbor of theirs called the police 3 times on them, and that she sometimes slept at her older brother's house. But since he's taking care now of his parents, the teenage sisters, and at the time his pregnant wife, the brother couldn't keep her for long, so she always returned to him until now, this last time. From what that same brother told me, it seems they fought the night before, and it got serious enough that he ended up doing that to her. The neighbor heard the screams and quickly called the police, but by the time they arrived, it was too late, he ran away. So for now, there's no justice for her. Now, my feelings? Well, I'm quite numb, to be honest. Perhaps still not touching ground, but to be honest, this is not the end I wanted to post or the karma she should have gotten. I know it's not the usual update one can expect, but thank you for reading it and for the comments on the last post. I will continue to lurk as I always did and hope for the best. With that said, thank you for your time. Edit. The police finally caught them while trying to pass the border to the adjacent country. Our province borders with 2 other countries, so I hope her family can now find some justice and she can rest in peace now. Commenter 1. Not everyone wants their cheating ex to suffer a horrible fate. You were hurt by everything that happened because you did love her, and the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. So, it's understandable you feel a certain way about this. Still, don't let yourself fall into the trap of thinking this was something you could have influenced. We never have near as much control over our lives as we think, and that is exponential in the people around us. Commenter 2. I feel like when something this shocking happens, your brain just refuses to process it normally. You didn't want karma, you just wanted to move on, and now you're stuck with something too heavy to make sense of. Commenter 3. I'm amazed that the family didn't hit him up for money at the funeral. Also, her family must be incredibly forgiving. She threw away a lot of opportunity and stability for the whole family, also she can get some abusive jerks' jewels. Yet they still cover for her and support her when abusive jerk is abusive.